Hi, my name is John Cymbalista, and today I'm going to be doing a video report on Peter Jackson, one of the most popular and highest paid movie directors of all time. Peter Jackson was born on October 31st, 1961, in Wellington, New Zealand. His parents, Joan and William Jackson, were English immigrants. Peter Jackson had always loved movies growing up, and he has often said that his favorite movie of all time has been King Kong, which was made in 1933. After the Jackson family received a Super 8 Cinecamera as a gift from a friend, Peter Jackson started making short films with his friends. He even tried to remake King Kong using his own stop-motion models. Peter Jackson made many shorter films when he was a young child, but as he started to grow older, he got a job as a photo engraver, and during those 7 years, he stayed at his parents' house, and he saved up enough money to eventually be able to buy movie-making equipment. Although he was always interested in making shorter, independent films, he really started to get into the movie industry professionally with his first feature film, Bad Taste. After Bad Taste came Meet the Feebles and Brain Dead. Eventually, he and his collaborator, Fran Walsh, both won an Academy Award on their next film, which was Heavenly Creatures. This film and the Academy Award with it catapulted Jackson into mainstream prominence in the film industry. Along with Fran Walsh, Peter Jackson typically collaborates with Philippa Boyens in order to co-write and co-produce these films. However, Peter Jackson is absolutely best known for his work on Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit trilogies. For these films, Peter Jackson has won numerous awards, including several Academy Awards for Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Adapted Screenplay. Notably, Peter Jackson was also gifted a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Peter Jackson, in my mind, is an extremely talented filmmaker. He's the type of filmmaker that I personally aspire to be, as I hope to get into filmmaking as I grow up, and I have always loved The Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit films. And in my opinion, they are some of the best movies ever made. Like, they are absolute cinematic masterpieces. The Lord of the Rings trilogy is my personal favorite, and the Hobbit trilogy is a close second. The Lord of the Rings was a absolutely massive undertaking. No previous filmmaker had ever successfully attempted to put Tolkien's work onto the big screen. The entire project took 7 years, approximately, of Peter Jackson's life, and he has said that it was one of the most stressful periods of his life. The long, long hours of filming, the incredible stress of managing the actors, the finances, the production, the creativity, the design, all the aspects that went into the film, he was the ultimate manager of it. Throughout the process of adapting Lord of the Rings to the big screen, Peter Jackson staunchly determined to keep as much of Tolkien's work as true to the movies as possible. So all of Tolkien's original content, his original material, his original lore of Middle-earth, Peter Jackson wanted to do adequate justice to all of that in the movies. So he insisted that the movies be kept as accurate to the book as he could possibly make them. And this carried over throughout the process of writing, producing, designing Middle-earth through the film, designing the characters, designing the world of Middle-earth, and telling Tolkien's story over the course of 3 films. Now, notably in The Hobbit, Peter Jackson did deviate slightly from Tolkien's work in several places. For example, the institution of the characters Tauriel and Elfrid. Those characters are actually not in the Hobbit book, and Peter Jackson added them to contribute to the time span of the movie, a little bit of the plot development, and a little bit of the screen time that the overall movie would run. Jackson has received a lot of critical acclaim for the Hobbit trilogy as compared to The Lord of the Rings, notably for The Hobbit's different tone compared to that of Lord of the Rings. The Hobbit was actually filmed on digital, while Lord of the Rings was filmed on true film, which was then later converted to digital. So I think that the camera quality and also the frame rate, The Hobbit was shot on a higher frame rate than the Lord of the Rings movies because Jackson wanted to capture a lot of the action sequences a lot better. So I think the camera quality and the frame rate both contributed to that specific tone of The Hobbit that many fans have acquired a disliking to as compared to that of The Lord of the Rings. Part of Jackson's critical acclaim for The Hobbit also includes, as I previously mentioned, his um, not so true depiction of Tolkien's work in terms of adding extra characters, taking some characters away, or significantly changing some of the locations or storytelling or characters of the book in the movie. The Lord of the Rings, however, compared to The Hobbit, is obviously much better accepted by all Lord of the Rings fans, because, in my opinion, Jackson did a absolutely otherworldly job in portraying Tolkien's work through the Lord of the Rings films. The pure scale of the Lord of the Rings films is just beyond human comprehension. There are just so much involved in the production. It's so vast. I don't think the average layperson could possibly ever understand everything that went into that film. At one time, even, Peter Jackson had up to 7 filming units on any given day while filming the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Many thousands of people were involved in the overall production of the films. The Lord of the Rings films also implemented the use of cutting-edge technology that was coming out at the time to create all of the CGI locations, monsters, and other aspects of the story through the films. Which brings me to my next point, which is another critical acclaim for the Hobbit trilogy, is that it's vastly overused implementation of CGI effects as compared to that of The Lord of the Rings. The Hobbit trilogy implements a wide variety of CGI techniques and special effects, which also contributes to that slightly video game tone that many fans have described the films with. They repeatedly say that they feel like they're watching a video game as opposed to watching a movie. I personally agree with most of the fan-based feedback on The Lord of the Rings compared to the Hobbit trilogies. I do believe that Jackson was beginning to overstep his bounds on the Hobbit trilogy. I think that he wanted to try to rival Lord of the Rings with another trilogy of movies with the same, if not a bigger scale of the movies. And I think that he relied too heavily on CGI use, and he made a slight mistake in filming the Hobbit trilogy in an entirely different way than in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. After seeing the amazing and beyond positive feedback on the Lord of the Rings trilogy, Peter Jackson would have been wise to recognize the elements of production that he implemented in it so that he could then carry those over to the Hobbit trilogy so that the Hobbit trilogy would be almost, if not as popularly and positively acclaimed as the Lord of the Rings. However, for reasons unknown to me, Peter Jackson decided to utilize a different method of production for the Hobbit trilogy, and I think he has paid the price for it by receiving the numerous critical acclaims of the Hobbit trilogy compared to that of the Lord of the Rings. Therefore, in my opinion, the Lord of the Rings far outpaces the Hobbit trilogy in terms of the quality of the production. What has always been very amazing and very inspiring about Peter Jackson is that he embarked on his career in filmmaking with absolutely zero education in the industry. So Peter Jackson decided to build up his own experience and his own knowledge of filmmaking through his own trial and error, and he simply started making films based on his own experience, and he called together his friends to help him out on it, and he actually built up his capabilities and his standing in the world of filmmaking by himself. Now, as a person who hates long, drawn out years of college to obtain a degree in a specific field of study, um, I'm really inspired by Jackson's ability to embark on his absolutely fantastic and amazing career as a filmmaker with absolutely no formal education. So I think that Peter Jackson's story is can be a very inspiring and motivating story that can help people realize that their dreams, whatever they are attainable, and you can achieve them through your own hard work. You can do anything if you set your mind to it, and you don't necessarily need any formal education in the industry unless you're planning to become like a lawyer or a doctor or any like of those higher specialized fields. But for pretty much any other field um, or career, you can get there through your own hard work, through your own patience and perseverance, and you don't need to spend long years of study at a university or a college in order to obtain a degree in that filmmaking in order to be successful. Peter Jackson is the prime example of how you can become successful in the film industry through your own hard work. And his story is very inspiring and motivating for me as I hope to become a filmmaker myself in my future career.